Hello, I'm Aaron.
I'm Sophie, and it's great to welcome you to Westminster Abbey's
Coronation Club.
In this episode, we'll hear a story about where coronations happen, explore a special place in the Abbey, find out why churches and coronations go together, play Coronation Bingo, think about food and banquets, and make a mosaic.
Aaron, did you know that this is where kings and queens have a crown put on their head?
Indeed, but did you? And do you know what a coronation is?
I mean, it's not a word that we use a lot, unless we're talking about Coronation Street.
And that's not what we're talking about today. So let's take a closer look at that word, coronation. I can see the word nation, and that means a country like the United Kingdom.
And the coronation is a national event, something for the whole country.
Indeed, but the word splits another way too. Corona and shun.
Corona means crown.
And shun means the doing of something.
Like celebration means a time for celebrating.
And a competition is a time for competing.
So a coronation is a time for crowning.
Yes, except there's so much more than just a crown. In fact, there are usually 2 crowns at least, and even then there is so much more.
So first, why don't we visit our friend Will to find out why coronations happen here at the Abbey and just how long that's been going on for.
There's always an air of excitement and expectation when preparing for a coronation. The Abbey and everyone who lives and works here are suddenly on show, and the new monarch too. A coronation is supposed to be seen by as many people as possible, and there couldn't be a better place for it to happen. Edward the Confessor would have been proud. He's the king responsible for the Abbey getting built. It was finished in 1065. Edward the Confessor died on January the 5th, 1066, and was buried in his newly built abbey. If you were to visit us today, you would see where he was buried, marked by a pink spot in front of the high altar. Now, Edward, who had no children, hadn't been particularly clear about who was to take over, and there were plenty of prospective kings vying for the top job. As you can imagine, there was going to be a fight. That fight took place in 1066. The 2 contenders? In the red corner, Harold Godwinson, a powerful Anglo-Saxon noble who, by the way, had already made himself king. And in the blue corner, William, Duke of Normandy, who insisted he had been promised the throne. They fought it out at the Battle of Hastings, and when the dust settled, it was William who came out the conqueror. In fact, he was so proud of his achievement, he later became known as William the Conqueror. But it's all very well thrashing your opponent in battle. You still have to be crowned, and so on Christmas Day, 1066, the Conqueror became William I of England by coming to Westminster Abbey and being crowned on the burial site of King Edward the Confessor. Now, whatever you may think of William, he did at least establish the Abbey as the place of coronation, and from that time on, for nearly 1,000 years, all our monarchs have been crowned here.
1,000 years? That's so long ago.
If I measure each year as one step, I wonder how far I would get. 1, 2.
While I go and catch up with Aaron, why don't you go on an Abbey treasure hunt to find that spot, the spot where coronations happen? Aaron!
This pink spot is so very important. Do you remember the name of the king who built Westminster Abbey? That's right, Edward the Confessor, and this spot marks the exact place where he was buried. And that is why William the Conqueror chose to have his coronation on the same spot. So much history in one small spot. It's right in the middle of this beautiful pavement that's covered with patterns and mosaics. Almost 30,000 individually cut stones. It's hard to believe they covered it with a carpet for Queen Elizabeth II's coronation. Have you ever seen a mosaic before? Perhaps you've even made one. Well, a special chair is placed on this mosaic floor for kings and queens to sit on at their coronation. They face the golden screen, they make promises to God, and they have a crown put on their head.
But Ewan, did you know that's not the only special seat that monarchs get?
No, I didn't, Gemma.
Well, down these steps is a big, wide open space called the Coronation Theatre. and a throne is placed in the middle. This space is here so that as many people as possible can see the monarch. The throne and the chair are much of the focus during that special day.
998, 999, 1,000. Well, that really was far.
Well, we knew that already.
Well, my next question is, why does it happen in a church? Do crowns and churches go together?
Well, I know just the person to ask, and that's one of the priests here at the Abbey.
A coronation is such a very special event, and so it takes place in a very special place. You could say in a peculiar place, and this, Westminster Abbey, is just such a space. It is a royal peculiar, a special church which is uniquely the monarch's church. A coronation is a religious occasion during which the new king or queen comes before their people and before God. During a coronation, the monarch makes very solemn promises to the people and to God. To uphold the law and the church, they promise to serve. Such service is important to people of all faiths and is valued by people who don't follow a faith too. For Christians, such service is modelled on Jesus Christ, whom we know as the King who came to serve. The monarch offers themselves to care for and to serve the people and to serve and obey God. These are hard things to do. No one can do them alone, and so during the service we join in by praying for the new king or queen, asking that God will guide them, strengthen them, and help them to keep their promises as they share for caring for their people and for God's world.
Sophie, I've made a little game to help us all decide what a coronation is and what it is not, and I'm calling it Coronation Bingo. You'll need to pause the video and decide if each option is or is not what a coronation is. Does that make sense?
I'm getting it. You might want to circle the ones you think are right and put a cross through the ones you think are wrong. Top tip, definitely more than one is right.
So thinking caps on, and we'll read them out for you. Is a coronation
When a monarch becomes king or queen,
when they wear a crown for the first time?
an ancient ceremony,
A Christian service?
when they get new responsibilities,
A public declaration?
a performance,
A sharing of promises?
a celebration.
I hope you've made all your decisions, because here come the answers.
Become the monarch.
A coronation is not when a monarch becomes king or queen. A king becomes a king when the monarch before him dies. Usually this is a parent of the new monarch, so of course that is a sad time for the country and the new monarch.
Wear a crown for the first time.
Probably. Remember, we learned that the word coronation comes from the act of crowning. If the monarch needs a crown before their coronation, it usually travels with them on a pillow.
An ancient ceremony.
Yes, as Will told us, we've had coronations at Westminster Abbey for nearly 1,000 years. And in the Bible, there are references to coronations of kings like King David. He was probably crowned 3,000 years ago.
A Christian service.
Yes, I really hope you got this one. Tricia told us earlier about how and why a coronation is a Christian service. That's why it happens in a church.
Get new responsibilities.
No, the coronation doesn't give the king any new responsibilities or power. The king is already the king.
A public declaration.
Yes, the coronation is a very public moment for people to witness the king as king. It doesn't change his relationship with the country, but when something special happens, it's good to draw attention to it.
You don't have to have a birthday party, but you still grow up. If you get a special position in school, Cubs or Brownies, you might get a badge. It's not quite a crown, but it shows people that something has changed.
A performance.
It might look like a performance or something from a film because it's so unusual to see. Lots of people are watching, and the altar could even look like a stage. but a coronation is a real event happening while people witness it. It's more like a wedding than a play.
A sharing of promises.
Yes, the king or queen makes promises or oaths to the United Kingdom, some countries around the Commonwealth, and to God. What promises have you made?
In the Cubs or Brownies, you might have made a special promise. At home, you might make promises to do certain jobs to help out. And at school, you might promise to follow a charter.
A celebration.
Yes and no. The coronation ceremony is certainly a reason to celebrate for many, but the service might be sombre, a time for thinking, for wonder and watching. There is music though, and after the service, there's plenty time to party.
How did you do? Check your answers.
Thinking about celebrations and parties has got me wondering how people in the past have celebrated, which is lucky because our roving reporter has been out and about investigating that for us.
In the past, newly crowned kings and queens would leave Westminster Abbey for their coronation banquet and head to Westminster Hall inside the Palace of Westminster. A party in the palace, that sounds like fun. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer and find out more. Westminster Hall, the scene of coronation banquets for 700 years. The hall would have been filled with tables and seating, a top table for the king and queen, and then hundreds of invited guests sitting lower down, enjoying the fine food and drink. Strangely, hundreds more guests were also invited to watch the festivities from the edges of the hall. Someone had to keep order amongst all those hungry guests, and that role fell to the Earl Marshal, who literally rode around on horseback inside the hall, checking everyone was behaving themselves. So coronation banquet food had to be really special. At Henry VI's coronation, every course ended with a surprise. So he had boar's heads encased in castles of gold and a custard royal with a golden leopard sitting on the top. What amazing food would you have at your special banquet?
That's really got me hungry. I might have a custard royal later.
Oh, lovely. Learning is such hungry work. We're going to have to come up with a menu for a feast of our own.
Yeah, I've learnt so much. In fact, it might be time to review it all with our very first Queen's Quiz.
Oh, good day to you. I hope you've been warming up your brains and that they aren't too tired from wearing your crowns all day. But really, this quiz is just a little fun between you and me, although I do hope you've been paying attention. Right, ready, set, let's go. Who was the first monarch to be crowned at Westminster Abbey? Was it A, Wilhelmina the Conqueror, B, William the Conqueror, or C, William of Concrete? Yes, it's B, William the Conqueror. Time for question 2. What does the word coronation mean? This is a bit of a head scratcher. Coronation, corona, shone. Yes, that's right. It's a time for crowning. And finally, question 3. For how long have coronations happened at Westminster Abbey? You don't need to count this out in steps, but is it A, nearly 100 years, B, nearly 500 years, or C, nearly 1,000 years? It's quite an ancient Abbey tradition that's been happening for nearly 1,000 years. I hope you acquitted yourselves admirably. No prizes, but I'll let everyone keep their heads. Fair's fair.
Oh, that was tough.
Yeah, we are learning so much.
But maybe we can have a change of pace and try something a bit creative.
Ooh, let's get stuck into a bit of art and craft.
Inspired by the Cosmati pavement, why don't we try to make some mosaic art? The special pavement that we saw has lots of patterns and designs, but mosaic can sometimes make a picture. It's up to you what you do.
You will need scissors, glue, colouring pencils or pens, squared paper, coloured paper, and maybe some magazines or food packaging.
You might want to start by designing an image on squared paper. It's good to start with a geometric design. Once you're happy with it, replace your colouring with cut-out squared bits of paper.
Or you could use food packaging for more texture.
Inspired by the coronation orb, I've been designing a mosaic that looks more like a real object. I'm replacing each of these coloured squares with a coloured bit of paper on my finished piece. And I've just got 2 more squares that I need to add to finish.
Mosaics don't have to be square pieces. You can use all sorts of shapes to create designs, just like in the Cosmati pavement.
We'd love to see what you make, so please share them with us. You can use #CoronationClub.
Well, I think we have a good idea of where coronations happen now.
Westminster Abbey for nearly 1,000 years.
Thank you, St. Edward the Confessor.
And William the Conqueror. We also know a little more about what coronations are.
A time for crowning and a chance for everyone to see and welcome the new monarch.
To complete ancient traditions and a time to celebrate all together.
A really special occasion.
What else could we possibly learn?
Well, next time we are going to be exploring the things that you might see in a coronation.
Oh, I'm already looking forward to it.
See you next time for more
Coronation Club.